All right, welcome, J.R. Dukes. Appreciate everybody stopping by. We have a loaded program again. We are on Verdict Watch, Decision Watch. Remember, you're not going to miss anything right here. I have the news stations on some of my other monitors. If we have a decision in the Fani Willis case out of the Fulton County, you will hear it here live. I have a whole bunch of feeds, live feeds, and all kinds of other goodies that we can go to in a moment's notice. So I have the monitor set. If there's any kind of verdict, you will hear it here first. So let's get a few things out of the way real quick. I want to make sure everything's working the way it should. Obviously, welcome to all my YouTube subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much. If you want to, we'll go ahead and get it out of the way. Hit the thumbs up button. Helps the algorithm, helps the channel, and it helps me. I appreciate that. And it looks like we're good on Facebook. Welcome to Facebook. Welcome to the couple of viewers we normally have off Twitch. And we always have a lot of folks on the Twitter, X, I guess we call it X now, platform. Welcome to everyone. Come on in. All right. We are on, I don't think we should really call it Verdict Watch, but we are definitely watching to see if Judge Scott McAfee is going to be rendering his decision today. He promised he'd be back in 2 weeks with a decision. Generally speaking, if I'm a betting man, we're going to have a decision like right now, right before they close at 5 o'clock, or he's going to put it out sometime tomorrow, maybe even before the weekend. That's kind of when they like to let those things kind of go. You ever notice that? They just whoops right at the end of the day. All right, we're going to start drilling into it. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Let me see what we got here. I will have the ability to take you live. If you like to talk live, come on in. Let me give you that information so we got that all out of the way. Welcome to Danny. Appreciate you joining me today. Danny is one of our regulars, of course. We're going to have more of a discussion format today. I do have specific things to talk about. We are going to do an in-depth review of the Fani Willis case, where we've been, where we're at now. There's a few new things today, like there is every day in this never-ending Fani Willis saga, the saga of Fani Willis. But we are, we're going to review it just the same, because there are a lot of loose ends to kind of tie up. And I also want to tell you how I think the judge is going to rule. I will go ahead and tell you that I'll give you a little bit of a clue as to how I think he's going to rule. I wasn't as sure until yesterday, and I'll go on the record right now. I believe it's going to be a very favorable decision for Donald Trump and company. I do think he's going to remove Fani Willis and Nathan Wood from office, but we will see. So yeah, maybe we'll hear you're fired. That's exactly right. Zach, thanks for joining us. And you're welcome for the notification. I try to do the best. All right. Sapphire Ridge Acres from Montana. Thanks for joining us again. As I said, welcome. Say hello. We generally have people from all over the world. And as I said, I am going to be monitoring. I got Fox News on one monitor, and we are going to go right into it if a decision is handed down. It's Beth with Noah, her service dog. Thanks for joining us, Beth. Oh, well, you're so cute and you're so sweet. I really appreciate that. You know, folks, I realize I'm not the best at this. I'm not whatever, use your own adjective. But the reality is I just do this because I enjoy doing it. And that's the honest truth. I definitely don't do it for the money. That I can assure you. But I do it because I like it. I like talking with folks. And although I'm a grown man and what people think about me, on one hand, I really don't care. Maybe I do care more than I think, because when I read thank yous and accolades in the comments, it does make me feel good. That doesn't mean you can't tell me your honest opinion. If you don't like something, tell me. Or if you think something's not right, I do appreciate hearing that. But I'm human like anybody else, and I think it's part of the human condition. We always like to have feedback to know how we're doing. And a comment from you, Beth, means a lot to me. I swear it does. I definitely enjoy helping individuals and helping people understand a lot of the stuff that we take for granted. A lot of people just don't know. They're a new immigrant to our country. Maybe they just didn't have the best education that you and I had at our disposal. There's a whole list of reasons, but you'd be surprised, things that things that I know, other people just simply never have been exposed to this type of thing. And in my own background, I do believe I have a unique set of skills, a unique set of experiences that can benefit all of us, especially when it comes to legal affairs, understanding legal things in our lives, everything from the police to asset protection to politics. It's what I like to do, or talk about, I should say, and I'm happy to help everyone out as I can. And you can always contact me at the information below. That is a real thing, and I talk to folks every single day. Which reminds me, I want to give a quick shout out to John and Mark. I'm not going to give the last names because they did not give me permission to use last names, so I'm not going to do that. But you know who you are. I appreciate you guys always sending me information, something to check out, question, whatever. I appreciate hearing from you. My number is down there. My email address is down there, so feel free to make yourself use of that. Also, if you have Chrome or one of the browsers that StreamYard allows, you can go ahead. I'm going to give you the instructions here in just a minute. And all you need basically is just a camera and a microphone. It's real simple. You don't have to download any software. And you're welcome to come on the program right now today, and we can have a chat. Sapphire says, I'm thinking today because they've taken down the case. Yeah, I saw that they have made some changes to their website at Fulton County there in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, we'll just have to wait and see exactly what's going to happen. Obviously, something's going to happen. I will tell you one of the reasons I believe that this is going to be a positive decision if you're Donald Trump or one of the defendants is simply because, just kind of reading tea leaves, I went back and I looked at the questions that the judge was asking during the trial. We're going to talk about some of that this evening. I also was thinking about the fact that he just got done releasing the defendants on 6 separate charges, saying essentially they were unconstitutionally vague, as we've talked about. 3 of those charges specifically related to former President Donald Trump, which I think is only a good sign. So we'll see how that all works out. Chris, thanks for joining us today. Dersh says that the judge is a coward. Well, we're going to find out. What did he say he was a coward for? I haven't heard his latest episode. I will say that a critic of the judge might say he is too passive, he's too relaxed, he loses control of the courtroom. That might be a fair criticism, only because when I have been in the courtroom before, generally speaking, most of the judges are very strict. They run a tight ship. And when Fani Willis was in there doing the shenanigans she was doing, it's been my experience a judge wouldn't tolerate that. They would simply find you contempt of court, and they would have one of the bailiffs take you to jail to spend a few days in jail. So, again, I don't know. After this entire case runs its race, so to speak, we can all sit back and take a look and figure out if we think that there's a problem there. Hey, Kevin from Norway, thank you for joining us. That's what I'm talking about. We generally have people all over the place. And we in Holland. I think you're saying you're in Holland, right? Red finger number 1. Thank you for joining us today. And Megan Cayley says that the judge's interview tips that he won't disqualify and that his draft was already in place in order to keep Fani and not due to the new leftist candidate. She might be right. Again, we're all reading tea leaves, but I'm on record. I might be eating my words here in a few minutes, but we'll see. I'm telling you unequivocally, the judge is going to disqualify her. It will depend upon the way the judge chooses to review the evidence. I made a video earlier today. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, feel free to do so. But in short, some of the attorneys are saying there's 3 different levels the judge can use to interpret the evidence. I think there's really 2. But let's just say for the sake of discussion, there are 3 different levels. The first one is more or less the appearance of impropriety. If it looks like there's something wrong, then there's something wrong, and the judge can remove the DA and her office accordingly. That's been the standard I have seen when I have just been in court, when I have watched news or looked in different every county has what they call a legal organ, and I'm one of these people my entire life. I go through the legal organs in various counties, and I just like that stuff. One of my best friends is a retired criminal prosecutor out of Dallas, Texas, and he taught me a lot. Just over the years of our friendship, we've been friends since like 1991, so it's been quite some time. Again, we're just reading tea leaves, but let's just say the bottom level is something that looks like, hey, if it looks improper, it's improper. The middle ground will basically be the preponderance of the evidence. Is it more likely than not that there's some kind of malfeasance going on between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade and this whole shenanigan, or is it the other way around? Has that burden not been met? If we're playing football, between 0 and 100, that's basically the 51-yard line that the defense essentially would have to push the football to in order for the judge, in his mind, to disqualify Fani Willis and her office. And this other folks, some attorneys would say, if it's beyond a reasonable doubt, and I do not believe that that is the standard. A reasonable doubt is used in criminal cases, as you have heard probably a million times. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that doesn't mean beyond any doubt, but it does mean beyond a reasonable doubt. I do not believe that that applies when it comes to a disqualification hearing before the judge. I just don't think that that is what the case law shows. And in all fairness, in the state of Georgia, it's remarkable to acknowledge and point out that the case law is all over the place. You can kind of find case law to support your position. You just have to kind of go dig it up and pull it out and show it to the judge. So the judge is going to have to make up his own mind, but I don't think there's any case law that says beyond a reasonable doubt. There's definitely case law that supports the other two levels of proof, if you will, that I just outlined. Again, that will have to be seen where that goes. So yeah, she may be right or she may be wrong. One thing's for sure, very soon, I'm going to look like the oracle of the legal profession, or I'm going to look like an idiot. Maybe both. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, Zach. Okay, making some comments there. Billy, thanks for joining us today. I think that the judge has been forced, just like everyone else who would be, let's say everyone else would be during a tyrannical government, to do something they would never want to do. That's terrible, but don't be disheartened. You may be right. Kim, thanks for joining us. Always happy to see you in the chat. It's always amazing on these live videos that I see so many regulars, I guess, and it's nice. It's like, I like studying the human condition, why we do what we do. If you haven't figured that out, trust me, I enjoy studying these type of subjects. And I think we all enjoy this sense of family. You kind of have a YouTube family, if you will. It's really amazing. I figured that the more videos I did live versus just putting out the regular videos I used to do, that we would kind of have this sense of community. And I see why things work so well on YouTube. I appreciate the fact that the social media is just that, social media, and people like it and why they like it. It's somewhat addictive. So Kim, again, thank you. And you are stating it is impossible for me to get into the Fulton docket. The system is overloaded. I think in addition to that, Kim, as we've been alluding to, there's reports that they've taken down the system or they suspended it. Generally, they're getting ready for a heavy influx of people to get on the system. At least that's my understanding. So I'm not surprised to hear that at all. And Zach, the DA have not been removed because there wasn't one quite like that. That's probably true. All right, we're going to fly through a couple comments and then I'll come back because I want to get into the start of some of my comments. And again, if I notice there's a lot of people still joining the chat. If you have not already been informed, I just want to say one last time that I am monitoring the Fani Willis case live right now. If there's a decision right now or this evening, I will know about it as quick as anyone else will know about it, and we will go live to it on this live stream. I have that already set up to go. And as you'll know, I have to, I'm learning how this software works. So I'm very confident that we will be able to go live together if there is a decision this evening. But I'm kind of leaning that it's probably going to come out tomorrow, but we'll see. Billy, you must not understand what it is to live in Georgia or in the city of Atlanta. It is controlled by radicals, and his very life is dependent upon him not going against the grain. Billy, that is a fantastic point. I will tell you, I used to live in the Atlanta area in Cobb County, and I lived there for quite some time. See, 3 of my children were born there, so I am from the Atlanta area. I consider myself a Texan of all things. I was raised in Houston, Texas, lived in Atlanta for probably 19 or 20 years, something like that. And I've been living here in Florida for the last 10 years. So I'm kind of giving away my age the more I talk like that. But the fact is, I'm kind of a true vagabond American. I'm from all over. So I definitely know how things are in Atlanta. I do love Atlanta. I do love the entire city, the Atlanta Metroplex, if you will. It's a huge, huge area. And I love Georgia in general. I definitely don't agree with some of the politics that's going on there right now, but I get that, and it's probably true in any city, Billy. If you have a judge that's up for reelection, I think his election is coming up this May, and he is running opposed. I did find out today that there are 2 candidates potentially against him. So I'll monitor it and we'll see where this particular story goes. But I think it's human nature again that it's going to be on your mind. You're representing people that are going to vote for you to remain in office or leave office. This particular judge is a young judge at 34 years of age who was appointed to his position by the current governor, Brian Kemp. I think he was appointed to fill the position because someone else left, retired. I don't know. I didn't look into the exact reason. I just know he was appointed to that position. And the fact that this particular area is a heavy Democratic area, it could be a problem. I could see that. So we're on the same page. We'll see how that all goes out. Yeah, the not towards supremacy of the Supreme Court. All right, and then Bobby, America's lost. Yeah, unfortunately I think people have lost that sense of community, but there are a lot of good things about the social media stuff that we're all using. I mean, we're all sitting here right now having a talk about Fani Willis and sweet, sweet Fani, as I like to affectionately call her, and we can. It's just a unique and wonderful blessing that we have in our lives now. We may not always think of it as a blessing, but we can get on a computer and we can sit here and have a nice chat and interact back and forth. And as we said a minute ago, we got people from all over the world with us right now. It looks like we have 713 people and growing, 503 off of YouTube. I got 208 off of X, someone off of Facebook and Twitch too. So I meant it's just really wonderful that we can all sit and have a conversation like this, that we're not screaming and yelling. And you're right. It's got that sense of community, and maybe that is something that we have lost. It's always, see, that's right. Whether I agree with you or not, I still will always award you your freedom of speech. Yeah, I agree. I think everybody should have their free speech and freedom of speech. It's like anything else. There needs to be boundaries, needs to be guardrails. Although with free speech, it's very loose. With the firefighters up in New York City, I understand that Letitia James is looking into whatever happened there. And I know the president of the unions or whatever their elected authorities are there are looking to go after these terrible firefighters that chanted. I will just say, in the defense of the state, and they need a defense. Generally speaking, they do have free speech rights, but in a formal setting, they expect you to be respectful and they respect you to be quiet. And then I will say one other thing too. Generally, your free speech ends where someone else's free speech rights to be heard start. And in this particular situation with the firefighters, first of all, they just need to let it go. It is what it is. It's over with. Everybody's highly charged and aggravated over what Letitia James and her cronies have done. If I was there, I would have chanted too, period. But the other side of the point is what I just said. Everybody needs to pause and let someone speak. So it's just the way it goes. So any rate, if you agree or disagree, you're welcome to put that in the comments there. Let me see who else is on here. Sapphire again. Yeah, I used to live in Vulture. I know you live up in the Atlanta area. I think you do anyways, or maybe just south of the area. And hello, Charles. Good to see you again. Folks, let me type in the information real quick so that if you wish to join, you can have the information right here. Let me put this in. There we go. And I also have a link. Here is the link. All you got to do is click on this link, and it will take you directly to where you need to be. Okay, there you go. So click on it if you like. I believe I have instructions also that I made like a little short, if you will, where you can just hop on there and it will just give you the instructions. If you click on that link, it also has the instructions on there, but it's real easy to join. So that's that. Oh, that's right, Sapphire. You live in Montana now. I remember you telling me that. Okay, good. All right. So let's begin. Any questions, like I said, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Always appreciate comments, questions, whatever you got. It's always something that adds to the conversation. So let me join my screen here. All right, let's start off with, let's do a little bit of a review. Have y'all seen Nathan Wade's website? I wanted to show you this. Let me just take a little quick caveat. Here we go. Okay, here's my buddy's site here. Now remember, this guy was hired as the lead prosecutor in a major RICO case, going after the former president of the United States, the likely individual that will be the next president of the United States. She hires this guy who has no experience prosecuting a felonious case, period. We cannot find one case, not one case, showing that this individual ever prosecuted one case. I mean, it's just really hard to get your mind around. At least it is for me. Now, I've heard people say, "Oh, he was a judge. He's acted as a judge before, or he's got this type of experience." I want to be really clear when you hear that's kind of misleading, because his experience as a judge, think of it as something like night court. It's more like a night court situation where if a judge is sick or needs a vacation or just wants to go home early for a dinner date, that's the kind of situation that these judges fill in, or I should say these attorneys fill in for these judges. It's something they can use to pad their resume. That's all it boils down to. It's a resume padder, if you will. It's not like he served as a judge like Scott McAfee is right now, handling a major world public interest type of case. And I'll show you how you know what type of attorney this guy is just by looking at his website. Unless he's changed it, let's take a look together. As you see, this is his website. Now, his new partner is a guy named Campbell. Remember, he was partners with Campbell and that Terrence Bradley, the guy that was on the witness stand lying and trying to cover up for his ex-partner. So I'm not too sure what all that was about, but that was the reality of whatever was going on. So you go to the website, wadeandcampbell.com, and you get Nathan Wade right there. Let's go ahead and just go to the homepage first. I want you to see what's on the main homepage, because this is what's important. Okay, wadeandcampbell.com. Boom. This is how you know what a particular law firm specializes in. And I know this from my own personal experience. So here we go. Wade and Campbell firm, our clients always come first. Doesn't that give you a warm, fuzzy feeling? I mean, I just feel like I can trust Nathan with my life. You know what I'm saying? So it does look like they changed the site up a little bit, but most of it is pretty well the same. Look down here as you scroll. Boom. You see this right here? Personal injury. I hope that's big enough if you're looking at your screen that y'all can see that. But that's exactly what that is let me shut this off here. This is how you know if you are hiring the attorney that you need for a criminal case, or basically if you're just hiring a guy that is willing to take your money. There are two types of attorneys. And remember this, if you ever have the misfortune of having a criminal issue, I want to make this point because it's important that you understand this. There are two types of attorneys, and I know this firsthand, again, from my friend that's a retired criminal defense attorney. The first type of attorney is the way most of these attorneys are. They are a settler. They settle cases. That's it. They settle cases, because if everybody went to trial, if the prosecution was required to take every case to trial, they would not be able to do that. There's no way they could try even a fraction of their cases. They don't have the personnel, the money, the resources. There's not enough judges. There's not enough space. So it's ingrained into the justice system for most cases to settle. It's just the way the system works. So, like I said, most of these individuals, most of these attorneys are settlers. The second type of attorney that you have is what I call a gladiator. And most of us probably have seen these gladiator movies. That's exactly what you want. You want somebody that literally, well, metaphorically, literally, can pick up a sword, is used to picking up a sword, can go into court, get in that ring, and looks forward, anticipates, is used to swinging that sword, going after the throat of your opponent. We have a adversarial system of justice. It's just the way our system is designed. If you're looking for an attorney, you better be asking them those questions. Not just, hey, can you actually try a case? You need to ask them point blank, how many cases have you tried? And by tried, I mean you showed up, the judge is there and the jury's there, and you're up there advocating for your client. You need that information. And the next information you need is how many of those cases have you won by a verdict of not guilty, and how many of them have you lost? I know that it may seem uncomfortable to ask those questions or even maybe inappropriate, but it's not. You need to ask these type of questions. And this also relates to a lot of civil litigation. You just don't want someone that is used to essentially what can we settle for. You need somebody that is used to going to trial with insurance companies or the whatever the party is that's an adversarial party. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you on there. Let's go back and let's look at his site so that you can understand this guy is a personal injury lawyer. As we have said all along, as I have said all along, this guy is your de facto ambulance chaser. And the way you know that is look at this right here on the front. Trusted to represent clients in, and what's the first thing listed here, folks? Personal injury. The first thing on there's personal injury. You bet this guy is a personal injury attorney. That's what these guys do. And I'm not saying nothing bad about personal injury attorneys, but that's where the money is in the law. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You remember John Edwards from years ago? He ran for president, or I think he was vice president to John Kerry. I think he originally ran as a candidate to be president and then ended up on the ticket with beloved John Kerry. And that obviously didn't work out for them, but that's exactly what he did and how he became wealthy. He was known, he had a reputation for handling cases involving stillborn children or something along them lines. I really couldn't imagine handling this type of case myself, but he was known for going through an acting skit, if you will, as the baby, if you can imagine that, and showing how the doctors are at fault and what this baby must have been going through and thinking. I mean, again, it just seems like over the top, but that's what he was very famous for in legal circles. And he was very good at it, admittedly. He made a ton of money. I forgot exactly what he was worth, but he was worth a ton of money. All right, the second thing you have here, contract litigation, family and domestic, and the last thing over here is criminal defense. This would not be the criminal defense lawyer that I'm looking for. So I just want to make sure you understand how to look at that. If you look at his particular bio, we got Nathan J. Wade, a former prosecutor and natural born trial attorney. I guess that means when he came out of the womb, he already had the black robe on and, he already had his hammer with him. He was a naturally born trial attorney. But the only thing is he's never tried a case. At least a felonious case. He's never tried a case, but he says, I'm a natural born, here I'll highlight for you. I'm a natural born trial attorney. I don't know what that means, but I'm just having, what, this would be something good for these AI programs to do, to come up with what an attorney being born looks like. That would be interesting. Nathan J. Wade is a seasoned attorney licensed to practice in all of Georgia's courts. He is a skilled negotiator who knows when to take a case to trial. He serves the citizens of Cobb County as an associate municipal court judge and as a has state court judge. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Whether you are in need of representation after a major car accident, he's a natural born attorney. This is your guy. Or are going through a change in your personal life that requires representation with a family law issue, whether you have a contract dispute or whether you are involved in any type of civil litigation. And Nathan J. Wade will be a zealous advocate for you. As a private practitioner for many years and a recently appointed Special Assistant Attorney General for the state of Georgia, he's referring to his little skit with old Fani here, Nathan J. Wade has been recognized by his peers with numerous awards for his excellence as an attorney and for his service to his community, to include Georgia's Top Lawyer Legal Elite Award and the Justice Robert Brennan Award for Community Service. Just like I feel like I need to stand up and salute or something. I don't know. This is really wow. This is definitely one way to write your resume, especially since we all know the truth. Recognized by his peers. That's probably true. I'm sure he's very, very recognized, but this is not the kind of guy, ethically or otherwise, professionally, or just judging by his skills, that I would want anywhere near me. This is the same guy that I've shown you in videos before the court. He doesn't understand the difference in a grand jury and a special grand jury. This guy shows up to court without having his documents with him, without having the case law he's trying to present to the court with him. In one of the skits we showed, he was there arguing a case before the judge, and he was using case law that's not even applicable. Just kind of interesting to me that he was even able to get away with that for so long. So, oh well. Let's move on to the next item right here. All right, let's see the comments. Okay, looks pretty good. Any questions, anybody? If you join, I'll know you joined because you'll pop up right here on my screen. Want to say a quick hello to Carol. Thank you. We got Danny. Well, I know you're in Washington State. Zully, thank you. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Yeah, okay. Appreciate it. There we go. Zach again, Billy. And Kim, the judge is concerned about legacy more than politics. This case will be in every law. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. He even made this comment too. I'm always very uncomfortable when you see a judge on a radio or just in the public talking, especially when he or she is in the middle of a highly visible case or something like this case. He was on, this Judge Scott McAfee was on a program just the other day, loosely talking about this case, and he made that same point, Kim. He has children, and he knows that one day they're going to have questions about this case, and he wants to make sure that he gets it right. So we'll see how that all plays out. There's an Ashley Merchant type, and then there's the, yeah, Abbott. I agree. Thank you, Sapphire. Charles says, I hope that President Trump wins Georgia tomorrow. Yeah, that is also something that we need to touch on. Congratulations to President Donald Trump, and I guess for that matter, Joe Biden. They both secured their nominations of their respected parties based on the returns just from yesterday. I have an article, if we have time, we're going to get to that. I believe it was written by Newt Gingrich, talking about Donald Trump, and it's rather a glowing assessment of Donald Trump and exactly what he's doing and how he's doing it. I think Donald Trump gets a lot of criticism on everything. I mean, we all know that, but I kind of like the way some folks takes time to analyze what's going on. Folks, when it comes to former President Donald Trump, it's humorous to me. It's sad too to see how the liberals and the Democrats just attack him every chance they get. They're literally trying to bankrupt the man, take everything he's ever worked for away from him, and they're doing the same to his kids. They're also attacking his followers, the people that support him. Every time President Biden gets in front of a microphone, almost every time, anytime he mentions Republicans, he refers to us all as a group of MAGA Republicans in some negative, condescending way. It's just, they are so full of themselves. They're so full of hate. They just think they know what's best for you and what's best for me. They think that men should compete with women in sports. They think that they know what's best for your children, not the parents. They believe they know what's best for your life. They slowly chip away at your freedom with the old adage that we're the government and we're here to help you and we know what's best for you. It's just really scary all of this that's going on in our society right now. And instead of trying to understand President Trump and what he stands for and why people like him, they choose just to attack the man and try to take him out any way they can because they are scared to actually have to show up at the polls coming up here in November and take an honest vote about who should be leading our country. They know if they can't find a way to stop him before November, in all likelihood, they are going to be losing. Joe Biden's not going to be receiving a second term. At least that's their thinking. They're just not smart enough to step back and say, hey, what is it we're missing? Maybe we should not be calling the folks that like Donald Trump. Maybe we should not be calling them a basket of deplorables, or as Hillary Clinton suggested, that we need some kind of reprogramming, that there's something essentially evil about us. We're all indoctrinated. We're following a cult. This is not helpful. It's just not helpful to their cause. It's not good for our country. So, and yes, let's hope it goes through. Thank you for that, Sharon. Let's see. I guess, let's see. Sorry if I said you. If I said you in some of those phrases, I guess that sometimes it think, no, you didn't say nothing wrong, Billy. I'm not even sure what you're talking about. So it definitely wasn't wrong. Ashley Merchant testified that he has never been arrested. Yeah, I saw that on her testimony to the Senate. I have that on our schedule to take a peek at as we're trying to wait for a verdict or a decision from Scott McAfee, but that has not came. So yeah, he probably did literally chase ambulances, but that's what we call folks like that. We call them ambulance chasers. And Gladys, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for your accolades here and for your kind words. Thanks again. David, thanks for joining us. Okay, let's move on to the next item here. All righty, here we go. Now, I think it's wise. I think it's important to go ahead and let's talk about how we got here. And a little bit of breaking news I'm going to show you in just a minute. According to Georgia Law News, which is obviously an online publication for attorneys and law professionals in the state of Georgia, they're reporting as of today that a judge has unsealed the divorce case records pertaining to this Trump case. And we're talking about Nathan Wade and his soon-to-be ex-wife. And I got a lot to say about that. Imagine a guy that just outright divorces his wife of 26 years the day after he inks a contract with his lover, the DA of Fulton County, for upwards of $1 million. He decides, hey, I'm going to go ahead and divorce my wife of 26 years. This woman was not even able to afford enough money to get the medical care she needed, according to a recent interview with her attorney. As a matter of fact, published reports state Jocelyn Wade was actually destitute. She did not have the money to take care of herself. Other reports state definitively that not only did Nathan Wade ink this deal, but he left his wife, literally, I'm out of here, the day after he dropped his kids, they're now adults, off at college. He dropped them off, got them set up. That was it. He was out of there. And that's when he left his wife. Again, that's according to the published report. So we'll see how that works out. If you do have a question or something on there, if you want to put the word question before your comment so I know exactly what I need to look for, because as the comments keep streaming, it's difficult to keep track of that. All right, let's go into this because I want to take a review of why we are here. I'm certain someone will probably have some questions about this, and that's fine. Let's put the comments or questions on the screen, and I will happily take a look at this. Okay, here we go. This is a little sheet that I made up. It's got the pictures of everybody. That is pretty well a player. My favorite picture is the picture of Daddy. We all remember Daddy, right? Fani Wade's father. I'm sure he does love his daughter, obviously, but the judge probably has all but deleted from his memory banks his testimony. First, we'll start off with, I just want to make a comment about the judge right here. This is 34-year-old Judge Scott McAfee. He was appointed by Brian Kemp And I think so far he's done a decent job. We'll have to see exactly how he does from this day forward. But this is a difficult trial, and he is definitely a central figure in this particular trial. I think he's done okay, but I just kind of want you to know what he looks like. Everything started in this case right here with this woman right here. This is one of my favorite pictures of her that I've seen today, and this is attorney Ashley Merchant. Okay, are y'all familiar with her? Of course, we've seen her big time. I mean, she has really. I don't know if the word is become. Someone said the other day she's like the what is that? Erin Broshowitz, whatever that woman's name is, of today. I mean, she had the good fortune, I should say, Michael Roman, the guy right here, right in the middle of your screen. This is his mugshot. He had good fortune. God was with him the day that he met Ashley Merchant. If you notice me keep looking over to my shoulder here, I'm just monitoring the news to see if anything pops up pertaining to Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, whatever, as far as the decision from the court. So anyway, you have Michael Roman right here with the mugshot. You see the emblem right there for the Fulton County Sheriff's Department. Ashley Merchant has an office in Cobb County, Georgia. I believe it's off Whitlock Avenue. So just kind of piecing it all together. And Ashley Merchant was good enough at the Senate hearing to go really, really deep into this. Michael Roman is one of the defendants, along with President Donald Trump, in this so-called RICO case. Now, for the ones here that may not understand this, the RICO case stands for Racketeering Internally Corrupt Organization. So it's what, an acronym for that. This type of law is generally not used for this type of situation. Matter of fact, to my knowledge, it's never used. It was literally designed to go after gangsters. I can't really make it any more clear than that. It was designed to go after organized crime. That's what the Racketeering Internally Corrupt Organizations is alluding to. So she takes his case, and lucky for Michael, Ashley right here, she is tenacious. And I think that is a very understated word pertaining to her. She, according to her own words, her own testimony before the Senate committee, and by the way, I have a couple calls into her. I can't promise, but I think there's a slim chance, not a zero chance, but a chance, a decent chance, that she may actually come on this program at some point in the near future and talk. But we'll see. I'm definitely trying. You never know. She might actually take me up on an offer like that, but I can't make no promises. It's kind of like the Jim Carrey movie. So you say there's a chance. It's not quite that low, but I'm continuing to try it out here. So Ashley Merchant, she's tenacious. What does she do? She starts looking at public records. She starts checking the contracts that Nathan Wade, Fani Willis, and all these individuals had between them. She did what's called open records request. She actually has one lawsuit pending against Fani Willis and Fulton County because they did not honor all of the documents that she demanded and that she's entitled to under Georgia state law. You're probably familiar with the laws in our state here in Florida. We call them sunshine laws, and they're very, very liberal. And she's entitled to a lot of records. Here in Florida, you can probably get almost any record you want, except maybe records pertaining to minors. When it comes to sunshine laws, they are very, very giving. And Georgia's not as forthcoming, but you can get what you're looking for, especially any type of public document pertaining to a district attorney's office. So she goes to the Cobb County website, and this is where she starts striking pay dirt. She just happens to type in Nathan Wade's information. And I showed you all that on a video not long ago, exactly how she would have done that. And it turned out she found out that Nathan Wade was in the process of getting a divorce, that he filed for divorce. The actual record was November 3rd, 2021. She starts going through the paperwork. She printed it off, starts going through the paperwork, finds out that he has a wife named Jocelyn Wade. So she continues to dig. She's printing, whatever you want to call it. And she finds out in the paperwork that Fani Willis's name is listed in the paperwork as a paramour, as a lover to her husband. So you can imagine what Jocelyn Wade had to think when all this hit the fan. and she saw on TV that he was making $730,000 up to $1 million on this one contract, and she's setting wherever she's setting with no money, no ability to support herself. She doesn't even have the money to get medical attention. I'd imagine she was not very happy. I'm sure she probably screamed out loud, piercingly. And according to her, she's thinking Nathan Wade and Fani Willis are off on vacations to Belize and Miami and to the Napa Valley and all these other trips and things like this that they were doing together. She's thinking that woman is out spending my money. It's her money too. She's married to Nathan Wade. The money was paid to Nathan Wade. And she's like, I want my money. And of course, that just did not happen, at least at that particular point. So if we fast forward a little bit, the bottom line is, remember, there was that one hearing where what happened was somehow, we still don't know exactly how this happened, the records that Ashley Merchant was able to obtain, magically they got sealed. Can you imagine that? I wonder how that happened. You don't think there's corruption everywhere? Another sign of corruption, because it's a violation of Georgia law to seal records without there being a hearing in front of a judge and on the record stating and having it approved by the judge as to why those records are sealed. As a matter of fact, I've never heard of a divorce proceeding in the state of Georgia ever being sealed. As far as sealed documents are concerned, it's just very uncommon. At least I've never heard of it. I mean, I think that's the point I want to get across. I've never heard of it, and that's what Ashley Merchant said when she was before the judge. So she files a motion with a Cobb County judge to order the records open. She did not release the documents that she actually had because they were sealed, and she didn't want to take that chance. She has ethics, folks. She has standards that she lives by. She doesn't want to do anything that she's not supposed to do or that she can get in trouble for, and I don't blame her. So that's what that original hearing was all about. And remember, Fani Willis was making a big deal about it through her attorney, that it's basically beneath her to have to show up and answer on this type of matter. And it turned out fine because the judge obviously ordered the records open. Apparently, they were resealed again. Both parties agreed to reseal it. And that's what that breaking news was I was telling you about a minute ago, is that the judge, or a judge at least, has reversed that and said, no, these records are going to be open. But in these records, we did find all kinds of information. The fact that they have taken these trips, that they have spent money on each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, she files this motion to have the DA's office under Fani Willis recused because her investigation turned up the following. She, by chance, and this is according to Ashley Merchant, ran across the ex-partner of Wade, and I guess Campbell at one point was part of their group. And of course, that was Terrence Bradley. Terrence Bradley's this guy right here. Remember this heavyset black guy? Actually, he's a pretty muscular heavyset guy. This guy is a practicing lawyer right here. This is Terrence Bradley. We should have went over in detail his testimony. Originally, he was all too happy to help Ashley Merchant out. Matter of fact, in my opinion, the text messages between them almost sounded a little flirtatious, at least on his part. That's what it sounded like. And if I haven't said so already, Ashley Merchant is a happily married woman. She's got two or three kids. They may be adults by now. I think they are. And her husband is also a practicing lawyer. As a matter of fact, he was in court practicing with her. Originally, I thought her husband was actually Michael Roman because other than the brown hair, they looked very similar. I figured his hair just went gray because of all this drama and all this problems that they're having with this case. But at any rate, you have this Terrence Bradley that is all too happy to help Ashley Merchant out. My thinking is, he's thinking, this is my perfect opportunity to get Nathan Wade back. I'm going to finally get him back because, as it turns out, he was kicked out of the law firm with Nathan Wade. Apparently, this guy likes to sleep with the help at the office. And anyone who has a business knows what I'm talking about. It's not a good idea. It's you have a power imbalance. Someone's a supervisor, someone is an employee, and it's just the old expression, you don't blink where you eat, and that just kind of fits the bill here. It's not a good idea. And unfortunately for Bradley, one of the accusations was some kind of sexual assault allegation. I'm not sure exactly what the details are. I'm assuming they took care of it privately as far as settlement or whatnot. But I really don't blame Nathan Wade in this case here. If he was engaging in that type of behavior, he would not be my business partner either, because that's not going to be conducive to building a professional company and, frankly, becoming wealthy, having that type of shenanigans and aggravation going on. Yeah, y'all know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just ridiculous as far as tolerating that type of ethics or lack of ethics. And I wouldn't tolerate it. It'd be gone. So these two had an axe to grind against each other. It's really just that simple. These two were not happy with each other. So he is talking back and forth with Ashley Merchant right here. We went over those text messages, and it's very clear he was engaged. He was all too happy to engage with her. He actually encouraged her to continue to go forward, because in one exchange, Ashley Merchant was saying basically, hey, I'm really concerned about doing this, because if this pans out, this is going to blow the lid wide open on all this, and it's going to be the world coming down on me. Essentially, you had this Terrence Bradley guy, you had him comforting her. There's really no other way to say it. Hey, you're going to be okay. Just take it a step at a time. Matter of fact, his exact comment to her was, go be great. Boom. That's it. So, I mean, that's what you call a vote of encouragement. And before she filed the actual motion to have DA Fani Willis removed, she sent him the entire motion on a text message and asked him what did he think about it. And other than minor corrections that he made as far as when they met, and he was very clear when Fani Willis and Nathan Wade met and when their adult relationship started, he was critiquing, he was instructing, he was helping, he was editing, and he gave final approval to the whole thing. And this was as late as January, not of last year, of this year. It was January of this year. And then, as you know, we have this hearing moving into February. You know, it was going on last month and, you know, into this month of March. Well, something happened, right? Something seriously happened, because we had a parade of witnesses take the stand. And old Terrence over here, man, he had a complete change of heart. He had a disease basically that says, I can't remember nothing. The way he would word it is, I can't recall. One of the famous exchanges, at least in my mind, that sticks out in my mind is when Trump's attorney, Steve Sadow, said, let me get this straight. I just want to make sure I'm very clear, Mr. Bradley. You're saying you can't recall that you don't remember such and such. I just thought it was pretty cute the way he put that. So, all right. Obviously, we have Nathan Wade right here in the middle. We all know who he is. He's the despite what Fani Willis said at church, and here's sweet Fanny down here. We got to kind of make her a little bit bigger so that we come in, because let's be honest about it, without her, we wouldn't be having all this fun. But you have the lovers, you have Nathan Wade, you have Fani Willis. The problem is they swore under oath in depositions and in other documents that their relationship did not start until after November 1st, 2021. And you need to remember that date, because that date is key. It's extremely important, because if it can be proven that they were having an adult relationship before that day, at a minimum, it's perjury. And that's what the judge was talking about. It's perjury. And the way things are going now and the way that they all fought one another and fought real hard on this, it's like Judge Scott said, hey, we're not just looking at perjury, we're looking at a potential fraud upon the court. And that's a very serious situation when you're talking a fraud upon the court. I don't really envy them being in that type of position. So this is a very serious matter. Now, who is this lady right here? This is Robin Yeardy. This is the first witness right out of the match here. She shows up to court. She did not want to be there. She literally came in there almost kicking and screaming as far as showing up. She did not want to have to take the stand against Fani Willis, which in my mind only helps her credibility, because DA Fani Willis's position is this is a former friend, a former employee that she essentially had to fire, that has an axe to grind. And I can get that. I can understand that. But the problem with that is if you have an axe to grind, you're all too happy to show up and testify. And in this case, Robin Yeardy did not want to show up. She was told, if you don't show up, there's going to be a problem. It's just that simple. So she showed up via Zoom, and her testimony was unequivocal and very clear. And in short, it was in 2019, her and Fani Willis were roommates, or Fani was living in her house, whatever the exact arrangement was. And she saw Nathan Wade and Fani Willis holding hands, kissing in 2019. Boom. Everybody that I have heard, or a lot of people as far as talking heads on the news are concerned, they keep talking like the only witness is Terrence Bradley. And I'm like, I don't know why everybody's thinking that. The first witness, this Robin Yeardy, clearly stated in 2019 what she saw as far as proof of their adult relationship, their romantic relationship with each other. So you don't have to hang everything on that one nail called Terrence Bradley, because that's just simply not necessary. And then, of course, as a quick note, we have Daddy. Daddy, of course, is Fani Willis's father. He was there to try to help support the outrageous claims that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were making, that essentially all their transactions were handled in cash. If you remember, at the end of the testimony, this guy who's a lawyer himself, this old guy here, Fani Willis's daddy, the judge said, hey, I'm going to take that in mind, understanding that he was collaborating with the prosecution because he was in on all their meetings. In other words, his testimony and everything was all coordinated, right? Now there's two special things you need to keep in mind when you are reviewing or thinking about this particular case. One of the most important things is, if they can prove that they had a relationship together before November 1st, 2021, the game's over. If they can prove that DA Fani Willis is benefiting financially from this case, game over. Just that simple. And the third thing I probably add is, you need to remember that this particular case, what we call the trier of fact, is not your traditional jury at this particular point. The trier of fact is going to be the judge. So the judge really knows all the information. He's aware of all the text messaging. What he has to do is he has to sit down and decide what's a ball and what's a strike. He knows the truth. And it's kind of weird to imagine he's read all these texts, he's read everything, every document, every kind, but he in his mind has to sit down and say, what can I count? What can I not count? It's really just that simple. Now, the way Fani Willis has tried to explain away all this money that was spent for trips, dinners, whatever, on her behalf, and by the way, not all of it was admitted in court. The testimony of Ashley Merchant stated something to the effect of, she only submitted to the court what she could prove was directly related to Fani Willis as far as her benefiting from money from this case. And what do I mean by that? Well, like Uber rides and stuff like this from the hotels, or while they're on vacation. She did not know specifically that Fani Willis was in that particular Uber, so she just omitted that. But her own testimony was there was thousands of dollars of additional expenses on those cards with those type of charges on there. She only submitted clear tickets with Fani Willis's name on there, hotel reservations, things of this particular type nature. So I think you understand where I'm going with that. So that was one of the reasons Daddy was on the stand, because DA Willis is that their best response to all this was she always, at all times, paid Nathan Wade back in cash. Remember, Fani Willis has been making a career of putting white-collar criminals in jail, which basically means people that are committing financial crimes or crimes that necessarily don't involve a gun. It's kind of on paper, white-collar type of criminals. So she knows exactly what to say. And what she said, this is the best she could come up with, is I paid Nathan back in cash. Now, remember, paying him back in cash, she has no receipts from Nathan Wade showing that she paid him back. She has no receipts showing that money was taken out of the bank, tens of thousands of dollars was taken out of the bank and then paid to him. There's no money going into the bank in cash from Nathan or from her. There's no money coming out of the bank. There's nothing there. And that's what Daddy was on the stand for, because when you're black, you keep a bunch of money at home. That's just what everybody who's black does, and that's what Daddy was there to testify to. If you're black, you understand these things. If you're not, well, you don't. You know, and that's probably one of the most disgusting chapters of this entire case is the way this race card crap has been played. And Fani going to church, in quotes, Fani going to church, and all she wanted to do was commit blaspheming. I can't believe these churches gave her a platform to do this, but that's exactly what they did. They gave her a platform to spew this sick nonsense and to play this race card and to cause everybody's emotions to get aggravated and raised up. And as you've heard me say many times, when you look like me and someone says race, and most people just shut up. I'm not like that. I speak up and I call it what I see it. And it's a shame what she has done and what these other players have done in this case. That's essentially where we're at. There was a bunch of testimony that was introduced. This is pretty well the nutshell of the case. It's called honest service fraud, among other things. You cannot hire a vendor, which in this case would be Nathan Wade, pay taxpayer money, and the taxpayer money we're talking about allegedly is federal money from COVID funds that were left over, and the second batch of this money was directly from the taxpayers of Fulton County, Georgia. So really, it's money from me and money from you that went in to this prosecution. It's really, really despicable, and it's just really, really, it's criminal. And I hope that they're all prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I think at a minimum, they should have this case dismissed and they should lose their license. A lot of the published reports that I'm looking at today, that's exactly what they're talking about right there. So how do you guys see it? You see it similar to the way that I'm talking about it here? Let me back off this page right here, and then we're going to go to some videos so we can take a peek at a few of these that I got for us today. All right, to the quick comments. I don't know if I see any questions yet. I appreciate your comments either way. One thing about it, when you have 1,000+ people in the stream, it goes, the comments go pretty quick. I'm just kind of thumbing through here, see if I see anything. What do you think about the Republicans that are retired? Yeah, I know that's pretty shameful. We've been talking about that. They got rid of George Santos, and now they're having, thank you, Pamela, I appreciate that. They got rid of George Santos, and now they're right on a razor's edge of losing control of the House. That would be absolutely terrible. That would be terrible. Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, we're going to see exactly how McAfee, if he's good or if he's not good. And you're right, Wade is not divorced. He still is, just like that one story we were talking about. They have an understanding together as far as how the divorce is going to proceed. You could imagine she was in the captain's chair, if you will, when he first approached her when this story broke, because he knew he was in serious problems. So we'll see how this is. Yeah, do I think Terrence is Terrence is the former best? Yeah, he may be. I don't know. There's something going on there. Yeah, it does seem like when people want to do something evil, mean, mad, whatever, they seem like that what's that old expression? What a weave we conceive when we try to deceive. Everybody get that? Okay. Let's move on to some of the videos here that I got on today's agenda. I don't see anything coming down from the court, so it's probably going to roll till tomorrow. If we don't have something by next 10-15 minutes, I don't think it's going to be released. I've seen courts release it just after they close, and I'm certain they close about 5 o'clock. But I could be wrong, but like I said, I bet it's going to be sometime tomorrow. Friday afternoon is when they're going to actually release it, and I think that is what they should do. Okay, we're going to pop over and take a peek at some of these videos right here. Let's go to share. And okay, this was a clip I was listening to earlier, and I wanted to listen to this relevant point on this sale data. Here we go. So let's take a quick peek at this.
All the cash involved. Democratic Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock dodged on whether Fani Willis will be disqualified.
I know that there are folks on the other side of the aisle, unfortunately, who are trying to lean in here and put their finger on the scale. I'm not going to pile on. I think this case is being played out before a judge, and that judge will have to make a decision not based on optics, but based on the law. And that's the wonderful thing about America. We believe that no one is above the law, including Donald Trump.
Trey Gowdy says the issue actually is bigger than Fani Willis.
The question for President Trump and other co-defendants is whether or not the indictment is legally sufficient. And even if it is not, they're just going to go get another grand jury to indict him again. We got to fix the underlying pathology, which is a politicization of our justice system.
Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney and Fox News contributor. Great to have you today. Thank you for joining us. So the big question now is which way this judge will go. And are there any telltale signs maybe in court from what we saw?
No, this judge has not given any indication. This is a difficult question because in Georgia, there is remarkable ambiguity as to what standard he's supposed to apply. Both sides admitted that it wasn't clear whether you have to establish an actual conflict of interest or whether an appearance would suffice. And there are cases supporting both arguments. The problem is I think that the court is going to have to recognize that the testimony of these two prosecutors was really left in tatters. It seems clear to many of us that Nathan Wade did not answer truthfully in his divorce proceedings when asked if he had a sexual relationship during the course of his marriage up to the point at which he filed his answer. He insists that he simply read that in a rather strange and narrow way. Willis is also standing contradicted. You know, the new evidence involving cell phones show in one case these pings, these locational data points showing Wade going to the area of Willis's home, being there for hours, and then returning along the same path in the early morning. And on either end of that are calls or texts to Willis. That seems to shatter her denial that they had this pre-existing relationship and also that he never stayed at her home. So the question for the judge is going to be, well, if you believe that they in fact lied on the stand, how can you believe the other answers?
Oh, it's a great question. And, you know, so many people were brought into this, people from their lives. I'm thinking of that day that her father took the stand. He loved her so much, you could tell that. He said that he had never seen Nathan Wade at her place of residence, but then admittedly, he wasn't there all the time and had moved to a different location during some of that time. So she didn't really get that much help from dad. And from what you're saying, that conflict about whether Wade was at her place when she says he was not, over and over and over prior to the case starting, is critical.
It is, but also you do have the testimony of other witnesses. Mr. Bradley, who desperately tried to reverse previous statements, was very clear in speaking with other witnesses before these proceedings began that he had an absolute knowledge of a relationship starting before Mr. Wade was hired. Now, despite his testimony on the stand, the court has to consider the fact that there are other credible witnesses, and in fact, Bradley's own statements to opposing counsel that contradict his testimony.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And you said an absolute knowledge of that relationship because he used the words absolutely about that relationship in a text message. Okay, let's move to this. The New York City Fire Department is investigating the reception.
We'll talk about that later on New York. It's really amazing to me that she has been able to get away with this. I have mentioned before, there are other sources and other reports of this type of behavior with Fani Willis and Nathan Wade pertaining to other contracts and other work that they were doing for the county, I think even in Cobb County, where they were charging for a ton of work, a ton of hours, and they never really performed anything. As a matter of fact, Nathan Wade is on record as saying that his work product is in his head. I mean, what is that about? I mean, what's going on with that? Folks, there is a ton of evidence that this has been all orchestrated with the Biden White House, the Biden administration. There's a report out now that DA Fani Willis had a meeting, a face-to-face meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris. Make no mistake about it, this is all going to come out sooner or later. This was all orchestrated. This is all part of a grand plan of voter suppression, voter manipulation. It is what it is it's election interference. Ironic how they say Donald Trump has to be hammered because he tried to bring down democracy. Yet this is exactly the type of behavior that the Democrats are engaging in. It's just that simple. So, folks, we have been on for about an hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to take a break. I will be back later on this evening. I want to go over the particular video pertaining to Nathan Wade in court, and we're going to review the testimony of Ashley Merchant before the Senate Select Committee that's investigating the actions and stuff of Fani Willis and company. So we're going to be checking into all of that. I wanted to tell you, because of space considerations with the software, if you're on the Twitter platform, because we have like 200 and some people on Twitter right now, you need to go over to YouTube at JR Dukes and subscribe so that you can make arrangements to be over on YouTube if you want to join us later, because most of the resources get ate up pretty quick on YouTube. Again, that's at JR Dukes. There should be a link in your description. Just click on it and click the subscribe button, and you'll get notification when I go live. Hey, I appreciate everybody joining me today. I'll try to look through the questions and answer them, or put them in the regular comments, and I will get to them as I always do. Hey, folks, I always say keep that mind free, never give up. And until next time, I am JR Dukes.